Welcome back to the Radical Rebrand podcast, where we chat about all things creative, branding, web design, and business. I am your host, Megan Gersch. And if you've been enjoying this podcast so far, make sure to hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Okay, so this past week, I did a website review for a client, and they were looking to rebuild their website. And we got to chatting about what website platform would be best for them. And I thought it would be cool to make an episode on this because this is a question that comes up a lot when I'm chatting with clients. Because there's so many options out there. All of them have different strengths and weaknesses. And when it comes to what website platform is going to be best for your specific business, I always like to ask clients a few questions to help me to determine what platform would be best for their specific situation. I'll always ask what their main goal is with their website, if they're going to be focusing on selling products or services, as well as how tech savvy they consider themselves to be. So getting really honest with themselves about how comfortable they might be to go into a website backend and make updates on their own. Now, there are always situations where clients would prefer to just outsource website maintenance, and that is a completely different situation. But a lot of the time, clients want to get into the backend themselves to make their own updates. And I'm totally all about that life. I love to empower my clients with the materials and the trainings that they need after the website design is complete. So that way they feel comfortable going into that backend to make updates on their own, whether that be changing out an image or changing out text or changing out pricing, whatever the case on their website. But yeah, it's totally helpful to get clarity on these questions first before we dive into what platform might be best for your business. Before we get into the platforms that I do recommend, I wanted to mention a few that I absolutely do not recommend. I actually made a thread about this past week, and a lot of people had a lot of things to say about it. So I'd be curious to hear what you think about these platforms as well. The first on this list is Wix and Wix Studio. Now, I know a lot of people are going to come for me when it comes to Wix Studio. They think it's the upgraded version, yada, yada, yada. Listen, I have tried both. I've tried Classic Wix and Wix Studio. Neither one is really up to par for me. One of the biggest issues with Wix is making your website mobile responsive. And while this has been improved in Wix Studio, it's still not perfect. The thing is, when you build out your site, you have to account for a lot of different screen sizes, and you have no control over the type of device that your website might be viewed on, like an iPhone or a tablet. There's also a lot of other problems with Wix when it comes to SEO and them making it really hard to move off of the platform. They've kind of positioned it as this all-in-one solution where it makes it really hard to leave them because everything is connected. Anyway, moving on to the next platform that I do not recommend using, and that is Google Sites. This platform has limited flexibility when it comes to the actual design of your site, and it's just not a great option if you are serious about growing your business. Lastly, I do not recommend using Weebly for your business website. This is another platform where there are very limited customization options. Often when I see Weebly sites out in the wild, the business owner hasn't removed the Weebly branding off the site, and so it's one of those things where their branding is conflicting with yours, and it just looks way unprofessional. So let's move on to a few of the platforms that I do recommend when it comes to website design. The first one, and this is a classic, good old WordPress. Now, WordPress is an open source platform. There is a lot of opportunity when it comes to design flexibility. It can be really great for your SEO, which, by the way, if you're not aware, SEO stands for search engine optimization, which basically means your site getting found in search engines like Google. WordPress can be a little tricky though when it comes to upkeep, and I have found that folks can tend to get overwhelmed. Depending on what theme you get within WordPress, it can be challenging to customize it and make it your own, and there are some out there that require you to know a little bit of code. And because you're buying a theme from a developer, there are instances where sometimes the developers just stop supporting the themes. This is literally something that happened to me a few years ago. I had a theme that basically just stopped being supported, and they stopped pushing out updates for it, and eventually it became really, really difficult to update the theme within newer versions of WordPress. So that is something that you need to be aware of. I've also seen recently this trend towards theme developers charging yearly for their themes, which if you're a WordPress developer can be a great way to create reoccurring income. But if you're a business owner who is buying those themes, it can be another fee that you have to account for from year to year. WordPress also has the ability to add on plugins onto your website. So these are essentially different functions plugins that might not come with your theme that you can add in, which comes with the same issues when it comes to developer support. And, some plugins just get discontinued over time. A lot of these plugins have a free plan so that you can try them out, and then they have an option to upgrade for premium. The last thing that I'll touch on when it comes to WordPress is the security aspect. Now, because this is an open source platform, there are a lot more vulnerabilities when it comes to your website. This is why it's so important to get a security plugin in place and make sure that you are up to date when it comes to your WordPress version as well as your plugins. All this is to say, WordPress is a really powerful platform, and you can pretty much build anything that you want when it comes to website design with it. But the big caveat to this is that you really need somebody tech savvy on your team who is comfortable with the platform. And it's a plus if they know a little bit of code. The next website platform that I do recommend that I want to talk about here is Showit. Showit is a completely drag and drop builder that gives you a lot of design flexibility, and you don't need to know any code in order to get a great looking site in place. Showit is an incredible option for service-based businesses. It's also really great for SEO and helping your website to get found on Google. If you have any products in your business, it is possible to set up a shop on Showit, but I wouldn't recommend this platform if you're looking to build out a robust shop with all of the bells and whistles. It doesn't have e-commerce built into the platform natively, and so that means you need to get a third-party plugin for it to work. Something like a Thrivecart or StanStore. I will also say there is a bit of a learning curve when it comes to learning the Showit interface, but honestly, it's so awesome once you understand where everything is, and it makes it really, really easy to move things around, to change things out. I actually made an entire YouTube video about the Showit interface, so if you're curious about poking around in there and seeing if it might be a good option for you in terms of what you're looking for in a website, definitely check it out. I will link it in the show notes. One other thing that I love about Showit is that it uses WordPress for the blogging component of the website, which means that you can also use WordPress plugins on your blog, like Rank Math and WordFence, all of those goodies. This platform has really become one of my favorites in the past year or so because of the design flexibility that it offers. It's really like that perfect marriage between design flexibility and functionality for running your website. The next platform that I want to recommend that you check out is Squarespace. This is another drag and drop platform, which is great for digital business card style websites. This is a platform that's great for SEO, and it can also be really great for small shops, especially if you have 20 products or under. Now, you don't need to know code to operate a Squarespace site, but this is another one where it does help if you really want to get custom with your site. The final website platform that I want to talk about today is Shopify. Now, this is the website platform for you if you want to build a large, robust e-commerce brand. If you have a product line that has a lot of bells and whistles and you need to add a lot of variants and you're really looking to build out that rich shopping experience, Shopify is the one. You can do upsells, you can do downsells. You have so much control when it comes to the shopping cart, the buying experience, as well as the product variants. There are also tons and tons of Shopify add-ons that you can add to your site to really make it an awesome experience. I do want to caution you with this because too many add-ons will also slow down your website, and this will impact your Google search rankings. Now, I give this recommendation with a giant caveat because Shopify also has a steep learning curve. Even as a website designer, a lot of the Shopify backend feels like it's built in almost like a backwards way. So if you don't know how to code, it can be a little bit limiting to get it to look exactly how you want, depending on what theme you have installed. I'm curious to hear what website platform you are currently using or which one you're thinking of using. I would love to hear from you. Get into my DMs or leave a comment if you're watching the video version of this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.